Now I'm very pleased to welcome back to the show two of the finest handicappers that I know, and Mr. Shawn Knoche and Patrick Gates from the Oddsbreakers. You can follow them on Twitter at the Great Knoche and at Gator Betting. Man, here we are, guys. So glad to talk to you because this is the big weekend in horse racing, and I know you guys love the ponies. How the heck you doing, Patrick?
Good. Staying busy. Golf's going well. The NHL playoffs are in full swing, so staying busy. Can't complain too much.
And you're on one hell of a NHL run right now, I might add. And
Yep.
thank you very much for all those amazing plays you're putting out for everybody. Hope people are tailing those because man, that's pretty serious record. And then moving on to Shawn, your baseball's been killing it. It's kind of a perfect situation. How are you, Shawn?
Yeah, it's been going really well on baseball, and I've been tailing all of Patrick's hockey bets. So it's been a great April. I gotta say it's been a great start to the baseball season and hockey playoffs rolling. It's great, but this weekend is my favorite weekend of the year as far as sports betting. I love the ponies, and there's no better weekend than this weekend. So
That's true. That's true. I was my baseball went good today, but I was dumb enough to bet the Bucks. I thought, yeah, man, game leader. I thought Middleton wasn't going to let them lose, but forget it. 1-1
That
today.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah. My under hit because Washington didn't score, so that's always fun. But here we are. We're close. Tomorrow we have obviously the Oaks, and then the Derby's on Friday. But I have to ask you guys, Shawn, what do you think the weather is looking like for tomorrow and Saturday?
Well, I really appreciate you asking me this question because I graduated with the Bachelor of the Arts degree in sociology, but I did have a minor in atmospheric and oceanic sciences. So this is right up my alley.
All right.
But it's not looking great tomorrow. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid, 80 degrees, but there is a 80% chance of rain across the course of a day and greater than 50% chance from 8 a.m. till 3 p.m. It does start dropping off a little bit at the time where the Oaks is going to be run, but I do believe that track is still going to be sloppy when it goes off. And, we'll get to the field in a second. But as I started looking through for sloppy tracks, and if anyone of them had run on any mud, there is not one horse in that field that has done anything but firm and fast. I think one horse had ridden on a good track, and that was the worst condition any horse in this field has seen. So it's kind of out there without any real history to look at if it is going to be a muddy track.
All right. Well, there you go. How about you, Patrick? I think you see the same thing. And what's it looking like for Saturday?
Yeah, I think Saturday is going to clear up a little bit. Conditions are still going to be kind of unknown. I see rain early in the morning. We talked about that. So it's going to be kind of one of those things where you almost have to handicap two cards pretty much throughout the day. It feels like, especially with the Derby, you kind of have your mutters in one exacta and kind of your good to fast horses in another exacta. So it's going to kind of be a game time decision almost, which sucks, obviously, with the Derby, but that's kind of the way it feels like right now, at least.
All right. Well, maybe it'll dry off by then. It's been known to dry somewhat quicker. We're just going to have to kind of keep monitoring it. And that's why I'm not putting my plays in until Saturday. I don't have my card completely figured out yet. I'm getting close, but I almost feel like if it is a muddier track, maybe the front runners will have an advantage because they don't got mud shooting in their face. Maybe one of those speedy horses gets to the front, but they gotta hold the position. That's always the question. But hey, we got the Oaks first. Patrick, have you looked at the field of fillies?
Yeah, so we did have an update today. The one was scratched, which brings into the 15 Our Pretty Woman. And speaking of mudders, her first two races, she won on mud. So that's something to note as well. On the 15, Joel Rosario is going to be on it. And it's an interesting field, too, because it feels like you can make an argument for about 4 to 5 horses in this. It's a really, really strong field here. Even the 15 and 16 who were left out are still deserve it to be in this field. There are a few horses that you probably can toss, which we can get to later. But I have about 3 to 4 horses right now that I really, really like in this field here. There's some decent odds as well, which I think anytime, especially in these stakes races, which you can get, there's a few 15 to 1s, a 12 to 1, which is also interesting. Power Squeeze, the 12s, very interesting horse based on the last one she ran in. Where's My Ring is also a horse that I kind of have circled at 15 to 1. I think those are pretty fair odds for him or for her, excuse me. But her speed figures have kind of been improving. The last one, she won the Grade 3 Gazelle, beat Regulatory Risk and Jin Jin. So, yeah, there's a bunch of great horses in this race.
All right. Well, so I mean, why don't you get into kind of what your card's going to be for this race then, or if you know it. So I'm guessing the one is it Tapit Genali? Is that how you say it? That's the one was scratched.
Yes, the one was scratched.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so who do you like in this race?
Yeah. So speaking of the three, I do like the three. Impressive race in the last one. Like you said, kind of broke her maiden. What, 8? It took 8 times to break her maiden, which is crazy to begin with. But she
Where's
seemed
my
to
ring? She just got one.
yeah, exactly. Seemed to handle the distance well. Lascano was honored for that one, and he retains the mount here. So I don't mind the 3 at that price. Torpedo Anna is another one that I really like in this race with Brian Hernandez on the mount. Rode great in the Grade 2 Fantasy in the last one. Beat Tapicinali, who's not in this race, but she is another horse that I have circled here. Handled the distance well. Speed figure was great in that last race. And then another one, Ways and Means as well. Only 3 races to her career yet, but she did finish second in that Oaks race and the Grade 1 spin away before. Just lost a power squeeze at 12, which is also, I think, live in this race as well. So those are kind of the horses that I'm looking to target here.
Okay, so you said the 3, and I missed the number on the second one.
So I have the 3, the 5, Torpedo Anna, and 11, Ways and Means. Those are the 3 that I really like in this race here.
All right. Well, there you go. Where's my ring? I mean, that's not terrible odds there at 15 to 1. You know, I like what I hear when somebody's on one of those. So that's definitely interesting. You know, hopefully big ticket could come in on that one. Shawn, what about you, man? Have you looked at this one?
Yeah, so I want to amend my earlier statement. Apparently, I missed the second page. So Tarifa and into Champagne have both run on sloppy and both won races in those conditions. But for the most part, again, that is it. Power Squeeze had won a few trips back where they were second. I might have missed the third page when I was looking through this quick after I did the weather about an hour ago. But for the most part, it's very, very few far in between on muddy tracks. We do connect on one of the same ones here. I've got Torpedo Anna as my top play on this.
Yep.
You know, when you're looking at horses for anything like this in their 2-year-old going into 3-year-old season, I'm looking for improvement and getting better as they go along. And this is the one that I've kind of circled. They had one down race, but if you kick that one out of there, the 4, even that one, she finished second, just had a really rough start, started slow for some reason. The other 3 runs have all been great, gone away winning, come from behind, come from the lead. So I think she's ready to play in any condition. That is my top pick looking at it. My second one was another one that Patrick also had. Power Squeeze is the second horse that I'm targeting on this track. I think with the with the sloppy conditions, she's running it once, came in second, and did come from behind on that race. She's going to be on the outside, and I don't think she's going to be able to get to the front right away. So again, it's going to depend on if that mud bugs her, if she's in the back of the pack getting kicked up in her eyes. But she was able to overcome it and get a second place finish on the one time that she was on a muddy track before. So those are my top 2 as I go along and look at some other ones. The 13 is my next play on there, which is just FYI. She's going off at 9 to 2 right now. Won the first 3 races she was out on and then came in second on the last one. Just couldn't quite bring it home. Leslie's Rose, who was also in this field, was able to outduel her at the end. Actually ended up beating her quite handily by 3 lengths. So I think that horse had a bad trip around on that one, though. Didn't get out to the front, and she's going to have to on this one. Coming from the outside, it might be a little tough. But if she can get to the front, that just FYI, I think she's going to be tough to beat getting around the track, too, especially in sloppy conditions.
Okay, so you said 5, 12, and 13. Did I miss one? 5, 12,
and
13.
I'm thinking I might have lost you here at some point, boys.
5. He had 5, 12, and 13, I believe.
Yep, 5, 12, and 13. Internet must have cut out there for 1 second.
That 13 is interesting too. I like it as well. After she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, she took some time off, and it looks like she almost used the Grade 1 Ashland as kind of a prep race there to get into this one here. She ran second, but again, she kind of held off the start in that one, and I think they're going to be much more aggressive with her in this race. So I don't mind the 13 at all either. I have her underneath.
Do these PPs show the muddy races? Like
yep.
Have a symbol that says.
So on the side,
why don't you tell our audience where that is?
Yeah, so if you look on the side here, you're going to see the track conditions. So for instance, on the far left there, you're going to get the date of 6 April 24. And then next is going to be kind of the condition of the track. You're going to have either fast conditions, sloppy, and then depending on the turf, there's going to be another few of firm and good. So that's kind of be where you find your track conditions. And as well, with every program on the first page, they kind of have a legend for you as well, for the first timers to go through and kind of learn all the terminology and break down the program for you.
Well, there you go. That's great to look at right in the beginning here. Next to the date of the race, it'll say fast, good, or sloppy, and that's something definitely to pay attention to, because tomorrow, very sloppy track. You might want to look at this for the whole card if you're planning on betting this full card in the Oaks. Well, let's move on to the Derby then, baby. That's what we're talking about. The Derby, the biggest race, the biggest, most recognized race, at least when it comes to horse racing. And yeah, and it's just so interesting. We have no Bob Baffert this year, and I think none of us are a Bob Baffert fan, and we don't need to go into that because we do every year. But I mean, I see Fierceness and Sierra Leone on the top, right? Shawn, are these deserving favorites at these prices?
I don't know if at these prices is the right word in a 20-horse field, with the next horse only being at 8-1 and everybody else having double-digit odds. But we saw this a couple of years ago, right? The race that Rich Strike won with Zandon and Epicenter. We had the two big favorites, and then we had everybody else. And those two big favorites came second and third in a race where that pace was outrageous. It was like 21-3 coming out of the gate in the first quarter mile, and they were all trying to keep up. And that's what allowed Rich Strike to just, if you remember that overhead view, just navigate everybody coming all the way from the back, because everybody else was gassed. It depends how the race sets up, but the two best horses are the two best horses here for the reason. You know, Sierra Leone won the Bluegrass in a tough field. The Risen Star beaten Track Phantom. The only loss coming to Dornoch, where if you watch that race, she slowed down, looked at the other horse, and then just kind of wobbled all the way in, lost by a nose. They put the blinkers on after that, stopped looking around at other horses, and just went and blew the field away in the next two coming down the stretch. So she was playing a game in the one race he was playing a game in the one race that he lost. So I think certainly deserved there. And Fierceness, the same thing. I mean, you've seen a horse that has shown that they can win. They've had a great run. They had the one bad start last year in October. I think that was the Champagne, where they ended up just not getting out and just tired down and shut her down. Everything else, they've been right there in it. And I don't see any reason, you know, even the Holy Bull where they didn't come in, Johnny V has been able to, when they've gotten to the lead, been able to run with it. And that's going to be the question in the Derby. Can Fierceness get to the inside, get to the second or third position along the rail, and have close to the lead around that first turn? If he does, he's going to be right there at the end.
Looking at these numbers on Fierceness, it's like you're in the hundreds for some of these speed figures, and then all of a sudden it drops, you know, substantially, right? I mean, it's interesting. It's like so inconsistent. And I think for a 5-2 favorite with the 20-horse field, I personally think that's probably a little bit too juicy. I think it should be, I'm thinking it should be 5-1 with this inconsistency, 6-1. Patrick, what about you?
Yeah, no, I kind of echo Shawn's statements there. Sierra Leone and Fierceness are the two best horses in this race by far, but did the odds match? Not really. I prefer Sierra Leone over Fierceness in this one. Sierra Leone, did draw a tough post position along the inside on that too. Dornoch is going to try to speed out to the front here, but Sierra Leone's not that type of horse. It's going to hang back a little bit, so I think she can just kind of settle in the middle of the back of the pack on this one. Fierceness is going to go from the jump here. He's going to try to push the pace here. Johnny V and that Todd Pletcher combo are going to try to just will this horse to win right from the jump here. So I echo those statements here, basically saying they are the two best horses, but will I be betting Fierceness to win? No, that's not kind of how I look at this Derby race at all here. There's 20 horses here, and I mean, we've seen chaos in the past few years. So yeah, I'm going to stay off Fierceness. I'll have him underneath maybe in the second or third slot, but he's not going to be singled in any one of my tickets come Saturday.
All right. Well, there you go. That's kind of telling us a little bit about how you're going to approach this baby. So I like it, man. Well, so who are you throwing off your ticket, Shawn? I mean, there's a lot of horses here. I mean, are you throwing a ton of them off? Are you going to try to use a bunch on the third leg of your tries, or maybe you hit the all button on your super? What are you thinking?
Well, I think I cut out for a second, but I'm pretty sure you asked me who am I throwing off the ticket.
Yep.
My internet must just be cycling on a weird cycle or something. I apologize. With this many horses, you have to remove some from your ticket, right? You can't have, maybe you put all 20 horses on a superfecta and coming fourth, to make sure that you close it out if you hit those first three. I don't think that's a horrible play, but You got to get rid of some people. And for me, number one, Knoche's out. She's got to get out early along that rail. There's too much late speed for Knoche to come off that rail and get in. He's out for me. Catalytic, the 5 horse, is another one that I've removed off the ticket. Just haven't seen enough speed overall to get there. Number 7, Honor Marie's off the ticket. Had a nice little trip last time, coming in second to Catching Freedom, but the speed rating hasn't cracked 100 at all. He's not going to be able to hang with some of these other horses. Encino Stratch, so you can get rid of that one. T.O. Password, again, got to get out fast, that horse. There's no way that horse is going to hold off this field. The 15 domestic product, I'll list through them so we don't go through the details on everyone here. The 16 Grand Mo First is off the ticket. The 19 Resilience and 20 Society Man. So I've got about half the field removed from most of my plays. Like I said, I'll probably have a super or two where I've got an all coming in that 4th spot just in case I hit the try. I want to make sure I get that payout because you know what the superfecta paid in the Kentucky Derby some of the last few years. It's enough to pay off a house in some cases. So,
yeah, the Country House here and a couple others. Yeah, I know what you're saying, man. That's what we all wish for, baby. Then the tax man comes and knocking. So we'll worry about that later. Patrick, what about you, man?
Yeah, so I pretty much have the same horses. Anna Marie, I don't have tossed. I actually kind of like that horse in exotics. The other 2 that I did toss was the 13 West Saratoga and the 14 Endlessly. So those are the other 2 that I had tossed in addition to Shawn's. And then I have the 7 as a live for the exotics. So that's kind of who I tossed as well.
So I'm just going to comment on Endlessly real quick because I thought this one was kind of interesting. Endlessly's come off pretty much running on just grass or synthetic. So that's where the downside is here. The speed ratings have been very consistent between 97 and 103 for Equibase. So he has had the speed to keep up with some of these horses, and he is one that tends to come from behind. So if he's in a good stalking position, that's the only reason I held on to him. The dirt switch is what concerns me more than anything.
Yeah.
I think the speed's there.
I know Michael McCarthy made a few comments this week, kind of how he was hesitant to kind of transfer him over for the Derby here. So that's the only reason that I had him out is just the surface change here.
All right. Well, there you go. The surface change. Well, yeah. Who's the sleepers that you're going to be on? Maybe topping your trifectas off, or maybe even just putting them to place or to show to hit the board. Shawn, who are some of your sleepers?
Well, I don't think sleeper is the right word in this term. It's the undercards. It's the long shot. It's the Kentucky Derby. Anything can happen. Just look at Rich Strike. But for me, the horse that I'm targeting that's got a little bit longer odds, guys, is Just Steel. Last trip out, put the highest speed rating up of any horse in this field. Still came in second to Muth, the Baffert horse who's not in here, who they were having the legal discussions on a few months back, or even less than a month back now. The horse has gotten better almost every trip out. One dud 2 times ago, but that one had some issues getting out of the gate, never really threatened. Has come in second or first in 5 of the last 6 outside of that. And Dwayne Lucas, though he hasn't won a Derby in 25 years, has won Breeders' Cup races. He's won other Triple Crown races in the last 5 years. He may be 88 years old, but the guy knows what he's doing. And Keith Asmussen rode him the last time and is the one who got him that speed rating. So Just Steel is kind of the one that I'm looking at. Make sure I've got it all my cards that I think could sneak in and get the roses here.
How about you? Who's like a long shot, as Shawn wants to say? He doesn't like the sleeper word, obviously, for horse racing. I get too used to my sports betting lingo here when I'm betting futures. But hey, well, who do you got?
So I do like the 6 Just Steel as well. The 8 at 10-1 is also interesting to me. Not really a long shot, but I do think he's live here in one of my best plays. Only raced 3 times here, but the speed figures have been improving. Gave Sierra Leone a run in the bluegrass in his last race out. Handled the distance well here. Florent Giroux and Brad Cox combo. So I don't mind the 8 at 10-1. In terms of a longer shot, I do like the 19 Resilience a little bit as well as kind of one of my longer plays. Finished first at the Wood Memorial out there, beat Society Man. Yeah, it won, raced well in a sloppy condition before. I don't think we're going to see kind of fully sloppy conditions in this race as well, but I do like the 19 Resilience as well.
Yeah, I have Resilience as at least a number 2 for me. Now, I think that, there's the Japanese horse, right? Forever Young. And I'm tossing. I'll probably have him maybe in some exactas.
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to put him 2 in my trifectas. I actually think my strategy is to try to win on that lot of exactas in case, because I don't want to be spending a bundle on trifectas, especially when the big one comes in and it's Fierceness, Sierra Leone, and let's just say it's Mystic Dan, or not this catching Freedom. Yeah, it's just too much. It's not going to pay enough. It's so. I'm probably going to be using the 4 Catching Freedom. Now I know he's
Yep.
he's kind of a popular horse, but I do like how he finished really wide on his close in the Louisiana Derby, and I like the distance of Louisiana Derby, so that's why I picked him. I'm picking Just a Touch. There's obviously Sire of Justify there, and he's got breeding. And I thought he ran a really good race. Was at the Bluegrass, I believe, and almost won that race. And I know Sierra Leone closed on him, but I think there's just a situation where he was, what people like to say is chasing a rabbit. And I don't like Sierra Leone, and the reason I don't like him is because he's so close to that rail, and the speed's going to get up pretty quick. I think the fractions are going to be higher, and some of my other guests, Chris and Marco, mentioned that if you got a horse like Fierceness, they're going to have to put Fierceness up top, and that's how he wins his race. So I think the fractions are going to be a little higher. Now, am I going to use Fierceness? I guess. I mean, I'm reluctant to do it, and I guess I'll just have one trifecta that might be $3 or $4 or $2. I haven't decided yet. But my other one, I'm actually going to use. This is my one that I'm kind of going out on a limb here, is Stronghold. And I know his numbers aren't great, and people are saying the Santa Anita Derby, it didn't have a lot of speed this year, but the Santa Anita Derby still breeds good Kentucky Derby racers. And I know it's a lot of Baffert, but this could be a point where Stronghold has really done nothing wrong. And I like the fact that Stronghold has kind of moved up in his PPs. His times has been getting better and better. 99, 95, 98 on this one, but there's the Brisnet's different. So in this situation, I think he's got a good shot, and especially if everything kind of comes out wide, and the inside, because you have so many, a couple closers on the inside, maybe they kind of shift in the top stays up top. So I'm just worried about Sierra Leone's close. So those are my thoughts, and I think I'm going to construct my card like that. But I think I'm just going to be using a lot of exactas, so I don't miss out on a really nice payout. Sean, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I've got Sierra Leone at the top for the opposite of some of the reasons you said. I think being in that 2 position, he's going to get pinned on the inside a little bit, but he's going to have a shorter trip, and he should have less traffic than even he normally has coming around. So all he has to do is find an alley there, and he's going to be able to get from mid-pack to the front fairly quickly, I think. If this pace goes off like I think it's going to, with Dornoch coming out and T.O. Password coming out, and we see another 21-3 or another 22 flat, like we saw 2 years ago, those closers are going to be coming at everybody real quick. And he's the best one of the bunch. So that's the guy that's at the top of my card. I've actually got this 2-6-8 is the way I'm looking at it for the 3 wins. I'll use a Dutching tool and get those 3, Just Steal, Just a Touch, and Sierra Leone are the 3 horses that I'm taking a look at from the inside there. Patrick mentioned it at the start. If this does happen to be a muddy track, some of those horses coming from the outside, if they don't get there, they're done. So you really have to lean to the inside horses if that mud does come, because with 20 horses in this field, if the sprinters don't get there, if they have a rough start, if they slip, if they're not quick, they want to be in one of those first 3 inside tracks is where you're going to want to be, because those are the 3 that are going to dry out first. They're the ones that are going to be run on the most. That's where the horses are going to want to be to run fast if it's muddy. So I like where Sierra Leone is, especially if it's got a little bit of slop on the track too.
Yeah, Mystic Dan ran good in the slop too. The 3 horse, believe it or not. And I guess if it's sloppy, you got to think about him. He ran 101 buyers speed figure when that was sloppy on February 24th, the Southwest. So that's something I'm going to think about a little bit. He's just one that I might not use at all unless that happens. But I do want to make a point. Just Steal, I put him ahead of Honor Marie, because I don't see how Honor Marie could be better than this horse just Anna Marie obviously raced last, has all the some of the pedigree and everything you like. I don't like how Catching Freedoms went ahead of her, but obviously that was in a massive. It was a 6 1/4 length finish though, so I mean
Yeah.
that's pretty serious. It's like why would I like a 10-1 or when I'm seeing Anna Marie at some 10-1s, it's going down, but Just Steel is going to stay closer to 20-1. I think Anna Marie is more of a public horse, and then Keith Asmunsen is on Just Steel, and I think I kind of does that make sense to you? Kind of me choosing between those two, I'd rather have Just Steel, Patrick.
Yeah, they have similar speed figures too, and you're right. I think Anna Maria is going to be one of kind of the public long shots of the day, if you can even say that. If you're already seeing 10-1 on him for this Kentucky Derby here, but yeah, if you're going to get 20-1 versus 10-1 on Anna Marie, I don't mind Just Steel at all. Experienced horse for sure, impressive in the Arkansas Derby as well. So yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one for sure.
All right. Well, Shawn gave me us his keys. Who are your keys, and how are you going to build your ticket?
Yeah, so again, I kind of do a bunch of exactas in the Derby here. I mean, hitting those tries and supers, of course, is everyone's dream, but in terms of the feasibility and how much those tickets kind of slowly start to cost is certainly concerning as well. So as of now, I have 3 exactas and 3 tickets on horses to win. So I have the 4 Catching Freedom, 8 Just a Touch, and 19 Resilience, all win tickets, and then I have those 4 in an exacta as well. I threw the 6 and 7 in another exacta, and then I singled Sierra Leone in a third ticket for an exacta. So that's kind of where I'm heading now, finalizing those horses underneath. I only use Fierceness in 2 tickets underneath and not with Sierra Leone because that exacta is going to pay probably nothing. So if you're going to use Fierceness, you're going to try to basically take a longer shot up top to kind of close this Derby out. So that's where I'm leaning right now. But I like Sierra Leone over Fierceness, so I singled him in the solo exacta that I have.
I mean, if you're spending $300, let's say, on the Derby, I mean, you need $50 exactas with Sierra Leone and Fierceness to even hope to get close to that, right, Shawn?
I don't think they're going to end up quite that high. I think some horses will get bet down to put it up there. But yeah, you're going to see those two coming into an exacta, probably paying what, 6, 7 to 1, something like that combined, somewhere in that neighborhood. That would be my guess.
Yeah. 30, 40 bucks.
Yeah.
It's an expensive exacta on a horse that was very inconsistent, and a horse that ran well, but we don't know what peaked. And just like you said, it's could be anyone's game in this situation. So price really does matter, and that's what we all hope for. We don't play to win $50. We play to win something decent here, and that's the fun of it. And otherwise, we can always enjoy it and have our mint juleps and have a great time watching it too. And there's other races.
That's the thing, right? I'm going to have a couple of long shot supers for fun. I'll probably box up a trifecta with 3 horses and put all in the last just for kicks. And if I lose the $50, great. If I win 130,000 or whatever it is, great. But I want to have some sort of a chance to do it. That's the fun part of it. Okay. I got to have a little piece to have a shot at it. So that's my thought.
All right. Well, hey, you guys are going to do some write-ups. I'm expecting some possible articles out on Saturday, Patrick. You're going to throw it up at the Odds Breakers.
Yeah, mine will be out probably later tonight. Got a wedding tomorrow, so I'm wrapping it up tonight, and it should be posted hopefully within the hour or so.
Okay, well, where's my ring? It sounds like that's the horse for you this week. Then, if you're going to a wedding, Shawn, what about you?
Mine will be out either Friday night or Saturday morning. I'm gonna be doing a little bit more research, and again, I'm gonna be waiting to see what that weather's looking like Friday night before I really start putting a lot of these bets in. It's great to do some advanced research on all this stuff, but I want to wait and see what this weather's like, because that is really going to affect how I build my tickets. I will throw you one for tomorrow real quick. In the 6th race, Ag Bullet is my pick of the weekend. There's a horse called Overcharge, which is a huge favorite coming into that one. It's a filly and mare sprint, 5.5 furlongs. I think Ag Bullet's got the stuff. That is my favorite pick of the weekend. So if you guys are going to get on a race for $5 or $10, not the favorite, not the long shot, but I really like that horse in the race on the short track here.
Well, now I am. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be.
I'll
putting that
definitely be
baby
telling
in.
that one for sure.
Absolutely, Sean's pick of the weekend. I'll be all over that, my man. Well, thanks so much, guys. Great stuff. Can't wait for the Derby, but we'll be texting this weekend. Really appreciate all your hard work.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, guys.